Very nice to meet you, and you're looking very colourful today, I have to say, with those images behind you and so forth. And that's very nice.
I hope.
And we're going to be talking Bowie, aren't we? Life on Mars and so forth. So tell me first of all something about yourself. And I think you said earlier on in our prior conversation some reference to having been in London and so forth.
Exactly. So what can I tell you? My second name is Music. Colorful I am. Yeah, it's just it's like there's nothing inszeniert, how we say in German. Yeah, that's me. I mean, like since I'm like music is just my daily bread. What can I tell you? I started in London as it's my favorite city still, like I miss London 4 seasons a day. And yeah, I started like I left there when I was 19. And then I went to Acton Town, I think these days called like Thames Valley University, and did my best to study music. But as I told you before, I mean, study music is actually impossible. It's something you feel. And for me also, it's like an expression. Either you cook, like cooking, doing music, creating art, painting.
Yes.
This is all a colorful thing. It's a moody thing. It's nothing that you can.
Yes. I was just actually reminded of something. It just came through my mind. I'd read that your your CV, as it were, and the comments about your music and how you have to be. I suppose you'd have to say your heart has to be in it, really, for it to be effective. But there's a little quote at the end from, is it Einstein?
Yeah.
Two certainties in life. The two certainties were. I can't think what the two certainties were now.
The universe.
Sorry, the universe and
The
people.
universe and yeah, I have to say it in English, stupidness of mankind. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. He said he's not sure. He's not sure at the moment about, was it the universe?
About the universe.
But the stupidity of mankind is certainly something you can be so.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's also a reason that brought me to David Bowie. Anyway, I mean, I grew up listening to David Bowie. My mother listened to David Bowie, the Beatles, Jesus Christ Superstar. I mean, I grew up with all that kind of thing. Even though then I made a U-turn for a long while, even during my studies in London, to bossa nova and jazz. But what I want to say is actually that recording that song was so strong to me. And even though I heard that song so many times, I can't even cry now. It's just there is no evolution. There is so much going on in this world that makes me still sad. And it's not, as I said, there are a lot of perspective. It can be a version of I did it my way, that French version, the reason why he actually. But, hearing David Bowie talking also in his interviews and being such a protagonist, such a visionary person, was always reminding me to the way I feel. I just got confirmed by his songs, like, and yeah, it makes me sad. I mean, like, especially now, I don't want to go into deep of political things, but we talk about, as you said, like as Einstein said, or David Bowie, or many of before. Let's go Jimi Hendrix. He went up going to Mecca at the end. And even David's last song, they touched me so much because it's like, I mean, I'm from an oriental part of the world. I didn't grow up there. I grew completely up in Switzerland. I do have, of course, I don't think I have problem with cultures. I have problem with human beings. I have problem with their ignorance. It's a characteristic thing. It's the way you grew up. It's the way you also, I mean, even your parents can do a mistake and it's fine. I'm a mother too. And I'm saying, my son, it's not about, you don't have to think the way I think, but you can choose. You can choose. You can feel. I mean, you have a stomach feeling. It tells you if that's good or not. And if we would start to listen.
You're quite right. I was just, whilst you were saying that, and sorry to interrupt, but sometimes thoughts just come into your head and you think, I must remember to say that. Sure. But whilst you were talking about, your children don't have to think like you. I'm put in mind of a scene, I think it's in South Pacific, the musical, whereby the young American lieutenant, falls in love with a native girl. But part of the lyric of the song, and the reason they can't be permanently together, is because, as he expresses it in the song, you're carefully taught before it's too late, before you're 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. Now that's part of the lyric. So, I mean, that was the 1940s.
1940s, and we're
1940s.
still on the same level. And honestly, again, also, I mean, during the pandemic, there was like the COVID thing. It was again was like, wow, women didn't get anywhere as women rights. It's like we go back, black and white. Is that still a subject? Honestly, like, so that's why I said this stupidness, and what Einstein means is exactly that. We just didn't evaluate, and it's a lot of fear. And, you know, we kind of like make a taboo or make borders, as you say, like he fell in love. So that's what it is about. And it was not, I don't think he fell in love because the girl was black or the girl was, it was just
no.
that girl in that moment, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And I think that's what we exactly should do. That's the thing, you know, it would be much more easier if we would just start to listen a bit more to our stomach and just be kind to each other and laugh at each other. And
it doesn't take much, does it, really?
No.
Here we are trying to get to Mars, and we can't even live together on the Earth.
You got the whole point. You got the whole... I don't have to tell you anything anymore. I mean, you got it all, Peter. That was exactly the idea. Yes. Let's start here. And plus, we have everything. We have the green. We have water. We'll build out of water. I mean, what are we going to look for? Of course, I want to make a journey. Let's go. I'm always up for a journey. To the moon,
yes, a little bit of sci-fi never hurt anybody, did it? You know, traveling in space and seeing what it's like out there. But this is where we were meant to be as people, wasn't it? And it's like, I think, one of the early astronauts when they were out in space and they looked back at the planet and could see that it was a jewel in space. Oh. That's what we were meant for, wasn't it?
Exactly. The green and the blue, and it's all done for us. But you know, this perspective that you had now, I think it's also when we start to open up our mind, we don't have to travel that far. We travel already. That's what I mean with David Bowie, the vision that you have. I mean, you explained that now to me, and I was with you up there seeing our beautiful planet, you know, I mean, and then if like certain people, of course, I'm saying now that I don't have to travel, but like back in time, of course, I went to Brazil because I love the sun, and I'm like, it's too cold for me here. So the planet is so huge that for each one of us, there is a place to be.
I think there's a song there, isn't there? There's a place for us. Oh, isn't that from? Oh, that's West Side. That's West Side Story, isn't it?
Yeah. I feel sad sometimes. I'm crying, like, even for David Bowie, for Freddie Mercury, for Michael Jackson, for everything that's already said and done.
And they were all probably manipulated by other forces, weren't they? So that other people could make money from them. But we won't go down that route, eh?
Good point.
They probably.
It's important to have a good management. It's important that we talk, that we stay transparent, and that's also. And it's not just the music industry. Like if it's in acting or wherever, in which industry ever, there's always someone who wants to have the power.
Yes.
And who makes and misuses, you know. And then now we have to go back to what you said before. Maybe this person had to fall in love there with the Navy girl. He would have done better. He would have been much more resolved, you know, to not go. And I think that's also, it's such a long story of repetition. And we have to stop being that greedy, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Just enjoy what we have and share what we have with those who don't have quite so much.
And with music travels. And you know what? What's the beautiful thing with music, Peter? It's something that I really love. And that's why I stick to all those artists. I mean, I always say I'm born in the wrong time, but what does that mean? For some reason, I'm here now. But yes, the 70s until the 90s, 60s, even the 40s, 50s with all, as you say, like the West Side Story and all that kind of thing. Mary Poppins, as I just showed you, that's my thing. You know, I grew up with that. Even though I'm not that old yet, but Eva, that's also just an age thing. We're nothing for the universe.
Exactly. We're nothing. I mean, so I think you're right about the effect of music, and it can be very unifying. On the other hand, of course, certain music can have the opposite effect. That's what's happening right now. I'm very transparent. Yeah, I think that's why there are patriotic marches and things that immediately sets people one against another. anthems of one sort or another. So, yes, music can be abused and used. It's true. So we'd rather like it to be the better, wouldn't we?
You said now again something that I'm thinking about a lot. I mean, I grew up with music. I started singing with 6. I mean, I was grown with a single mother, and they brought me to a music school. Like the lady was caring. You know, I was like with 3, she said like, okay, she's moving the whole time to the music. It wasn't me choosing that path. It was other people sending me to those schools, and then with the time. It's just me. And it was always in first place a therapy, first of all.
Yeah.
Music is healing.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm very much disturbed in these days where people use also, it's like a self-performance circus. That's how I call it. Like they use it to be someone. And I think everyone, each and every human being has a talent, has something to go for on this planet, has a mission to complete. And that's why all those talent shows and all that thing, it's just frustrating. I mean, I have to tell, since this started, I really see many, many great voices. Yes, I do. But it's not just that. Being an artist hasn't just to do with that.
No.
There's so much more. And that's what I just wanted to say also before, that music, next that it's connecting and makes us travel and makes us understand and listen between the lines and listen to the message. What I think is so magical, when you leave this planet, the music stays. And that's so strong that your voice is still around.
Yes.
And
that's right, because it's an endless cycle, really, isn't it? And you have picked up on David Bowie, so you know his music isn't going to fade, is it, with your support of it, particularly with Life on Mars. And I kind of wondered whether you had other musical influences as well, because obviously he's the big one at the moment for you. Do you have others?
Oh, of course. It's not just like, and I think also like, I mean, there is Prince, as I said, Michael Jackson, for me, to be honest, he was, I mean, I was crazy about him, but more because why? I liked the way he was acting. He was like dancing. And that's also like something, I mean, I'm helping young stars too, like young singers.
Oh, right.
I'm coaching now and then. So for me, this is actually a must. It's a must to have that all together, you know. I'm very strict on that, and that's why when you said West Side Story, I mean, look back, like the movies, the people had to dance and be able, and of course it's maybe David Bowie. I mean, that's a taste thing also with me. Maybe not everyone likes my voice, or not everybody likes his voice, but that's not what it is about with him. It's his personality. Is like the whole time he's inventing things, and that's just how he feels like a puppy to me at some point that I never had, you know. I mean, it's just and like, I mean, Freddie Mercury, don't have to talk about. Great performance, you know, what a voice. He was also jazz. It's not just roll. I mean,
oh yes, that's right. When he had the crowds along with him doing those.
Hey, this is Africa, pure Africa. Yes. And I mean, those things we have to, you know, we are such a fusion. Each of us, and that's why, yes, of course, I look up to, as I said, like I'm a bit in the time between the 70s, 80s, 90s. This is my, even like Whitney Houston, until Whitney Houston, and then I stopped listening, I think, to singers.
Yes, I understand that. Some of us we can get locked into a kind of a period, but that's all right. You know, and then you discover stuff later on, and you find that artist has been and gone in the time that you've just discovered them. You know.
Yeah, but look, it's funny how you say we go back and listen to that old, like all those artists, even here on the radios. Like people want to go back to the 80s. They want to hear, because why? I mean, sorry, but the substance is missing here. The substance is missing. I mean, I asked my son when we're in the car, is this a real voice or is this auto-tuning? I want him to sense it. I want him to see if he feels the energy. And at the end, I mean, I can talk a lot, blah, blah, blah. But to be honest, I mean, I'm in a good shape tomorrow. This day. With you, Peter, you making me in a good shape today.
Well, good.
But actually, it's about the performance. What I want to say, it's not a hologram on stage. It's about the energy. Like I need the stage. You know, I'm a person. I want to perform.
Yes. And so, I guess if you're an artist, you've almost got to put yourself into the music, haven't you? I mean, I think in the writer part about yourself, there's talk of, being compassionate and so forth, heartfelt, emotional, when you're singing. I mean, you must feel that when you're singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I must feel that. I mean, there's a poetry behind. I mean, there are words that music and the energy of the audience is so important.
Yes.
Of course, I prefer also to be on stage. I mean, I do like recording. I do like both.
Yes.
Yeah, but
yes.
At the end, I do record to be on stage eventually.
Yes. I mean, of course. Yes. I mean, your career has been for a few years, and
was living in Brazil. I didn't want to come back. Like, this is also my second home, where I definitely want to go back and meet this place again. That's also what's going to be on the album. I mean, there is going to be a mixture of actually all my package of music that I earned since I'm actually 6 years old. Sometimes it's very classical, sometimes it's very Latin. It can be very rocky and rude. It can be very it's all that's why maybe it makes it a bit harder for me as an artist, also in sense of labels, because you can't really categorize me.
No.
For me, as I said, it's emotion in the beginning. It's not like today I feel like this.
We could talk forever, couldn't we?
I think so. I think I have to come to the UK.
You will. You'll have to. You just have to.
I mean, it's beautiful, and that we can have this interview, and I'm very thankful, Peter.
Well, I'm very pleased that you're available. Would you like to introduce, please, darling, your track to our listeners?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me here. And I feel you're quite close right now. And you heard the interview now, and David spoke to you already a few years ago. And I'm going to do that again from the bottom of my heart to all of you, Life on Mars. But let's start with a life on Earth. Thank you.
There's still life on